AFC West Roundtable, how's it going on? It is the usual suspects back at it again for another Tuesday live stream. Today, we're going to be breaking down everything that happened in the AFC West from preseason week 2. A lot of good football to get into. Some teams were dominant. Some teams maybe disappointed a little bit. And you know what? We are now heading in to our third and final preseason game, guys. So with that being said, this is pretty much the last opportunity that these guys are going to have to make their final push to make the 53-man roster. And this is going to be really our last looks at what these teams look like before week 1 comes along. A lot of football to get into today. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and let's get right into it. Guys, let's just go around the table. Tell me how you're feeling. Marcus, let's start with you. How you doing?
Feel great, man. Feel great. Obviously, Chiefs, we'll get into the Chiefs stuff later, but coming off a rough game against the Seattle Seahawks. But again, like we were talking before we came on here, week 2 preseason, no one's playing. Like a lot of your guys aren't playing. They're going to see on the actual Sundays. But I'm good. Last night on my show, on my Chief Concern show, we had Romeo Cornell, former Chiefs head coach and former New England Patriots defensive coordinator, had him come on and kind of bestow us his wisdom of football. I mean, the guy, I didn't even realize this. The guy coached from 1970 to 2020. 1970 is when he started his college career, and then in 2020 he was interim head coach for the Texans at the end of his coaching at the end of his coaching run. But yeah, got to learn a lot from Cornell. He praised your guy Sante Samuel a little bit on the show, as well as J.J. Watt and Lawrence Taylor. He was a Giants defensive line coach back in the day. So he said to be able to coach Lawrence Taylor at the beginning of his career and then end with J.J. Watt was pretty crazy. He said those are probably 2 of his favorite players he ever coached, was J.J. Watt and LT. So
wow. Yeah. That is absolutely amazing. That is a great interview to have, man. The fact that you got that, that's just what we do here. That's what the AFC West Roundtable brings. That's a Roundtable Sports. We only bring the top-notch guys. And Marcus is definitely representing the Chiefs well. But, James, let's go on over to you. How you doing today?
Man, feeling good, man. Just can't wait till real football comes up here soon. It's just around the corner, and I can't wait, man. I can't wait.
You're just done with the preseason at this point?
I'm done with it, man. Well, we're 3 games in for the Chargers.
You got 4.
Yeah, I got 4. I got another one to look at here. But, bottom line, though, man, it was just great to see some more football last week, see some of these rookies show out. We'll talk more about it, obviously, here later on in the show. But you know what, man, we did our post-game and our show and had a good return of Chargers fans, good positive vibes all around it. Yes, we lost to the Rams, but it is what it is, man. I think there was a little extra juice in that game against the Rams. Just the battle for LA, right? So, but feeling good, feeling ready for the 4th game for us coming up this weekend.
And guys, as I always say, don't just subscribe to your team's favorite YouTuber. Subscribe to everyone. Keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. So if you want to see the interview that Marcus had, his channel's linked in the description box below. If you want to see these guys' post-game thoughts and all that good stuff, check out their individual channels, links in the description box below. But Ryan, let's go on over to you. How you feeling today?
Man, I'm feeling good. Football's right around the corner. And actually this week, even though it's the 3rd week of the preseason, some of our starters are going to play because they didn't play this past weekend because they had good joint practice. And probably Sean wants to show off a little bit in New Orleans as well because we're playing the Saints. So I actually got something to look forward to right before the season starts. They'll probably play only 8 snaps or so, but still something. But yeah, besides that, doing great.
Just a little look, man. Just a little quick look at what they look like in the final preseason game. Then you get into week 1 and you're like, okay, give the guys a drive or 2, right? Maybe even 3. Just see what they have. What there's some things to put on some film that we can look at over the next 2 weeks or so to get ready for week 1, because that's when everything matters. Okay, you need to be firing on all cylinders even in week 1, because it can come down to it where, all right, you're 1 game away from making the playoffs or not, and you hold your own fate. And you look back on it and you're like, oh, damn, week 1 was actually pretty important.
That was us last year, so.
Yeah, exactly. You guys made it. You guys made it. So it's all that matters.
Thanks to the Chiefs for laying on the ground.
See, there you go. They helped you. They helped you.
And we helped my boy Joe Burrow.
Unfortunately, Josh Allen didn't help you there, but it's okay. It's okay. You'll get him this year. You'll get him this year, Ryan. But Saboan, man, how you doing today?
Man, I mean, I could be better, We had better weeks, but I know usually preseason isn't really anything that serious, but I think this past week was kind of big for us in our rivalry against the Niners for the Battle of the Mandalay Bay. But I'm doing good. Everything's good. I can't wait for season to come around. I can't wait for preseason to be over with, just like everybody else, and we could finally go at it with these teams when it actually matters the most. But, you know, like I said, it's just preseason. Wish we could have got the win on Saturday, but it is what it is.
Yeah, you know what, Samoan? Ashton Genty, man, you actually look good. He didn't go negative
Yeah,
yards. You were upset about that last week.
Right?
There you go.
Looked
You
a
know,
lot
some
better.
positive energy. That's what you're looking for. Do you think they play him in week 3?
Who? Oh,
Ashton Genty?
probably. I think at least one drive.
At least one drive. I'm
Offense,
excited to see how he develops.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how he develops. You know, like I said, outside of week 1, I hope he has a great season, man. Hope he has a great season. But guys, before we start breaking down these games, I want to let you know about something really, really cool, a really cool opportunity that you can get on at quite literally the perfect time, and that is over at RotoWire. Right now, link in the description box below, as it always is. This is a limited time offer. If you guys sign up today, you get 15% off when you use the promo code you see on the screen, RTS. Again, 15% off with code RTS when you use RotoWire. What RotoWire is an opportunity for you to dominate your fantasy league this year. I don't know about you guys, but I have multiple leagues that I play in every single year, whether we're talking about with friends, whether we're talking about family. I got bragging rights on the line, okay? And I got to deal with that for the next year. I got money on the line. I'm not trying to lose my money. Are you kidding me? Not in today's society. And I can guarantee you that I am going to win every single one of my fantasy leagues this year because of RotoWire. Whether you are using Sleeper, whether you're using the ESPN app, the NFL app, RotoWire is a plugin, and it takes you step by step, walking you through the entire process to make sure that you dominate your fantasy league this upcoming season. And it's quite literally plug and play, like you see on the screen, right? It is going to ask you in the early rounds, do you want to play it safe? Do you want it to be balanced? Do you want to aim for upside? And it's going to ask you that for the early rounds, the middle rounds, and the late rounds. So for me specifically, early rounds, those are the guys that have to ball out, right? I like to play it safe. In the middle rounds, I like to keep it a little balanced. Later rounds, that's when we are aiming for upside. And you guys can switch it based off of your preferences. But me personally, that's what I do. Even in the early rounds, middle rounds, late rounds, you can choose. Do you want it to be balanced? Do you want to go ahead and get your specific guys? Or do you want to stick to the average draft projection that RotoWire has? So early on, I like to keep it average draft projection. Middle, I like to go ahead and get my guys. And then in the later rounds, I like to stick to, of course, getting my guys. The other really cool thing here is that when RotoWire is helping you draft, you can factor in what matters most to you while you're drafting. So when you're drafting your players, do you consider consistency to be of most value? I do. I consider age being up there also very important. I consider last year's performance also very important. All these factors you can list so that RotoWire gives you the best possible results by the end of your fantasy matchups, okay? It's going to tell you things like who's the best running back on the board still, who's the best quarterback still on the board, who are players that are most likely not going to be there by your next pick. This is the best way to make sure that you are confident and win your fantasy league this upcoming season. Again, guys, linked in the description box below. Check out RotoWire. Help support the channel and everybody at Roundtable Sports. But fellas, let's just go ahead and let's get right into these games. And Marcus, I want to start with you. You alluded to it a little bit earlier, but not exactly the showing you wanted to see in back-to-back preseason games. The Hawks got you. You got a bit of a safety issue there. Now what you want to see, now again, we'll put the caveat on it. It is just the preseason, but maybe not the way you were hoping to look so far this preseason. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you want to win at the end of the day, and I hate to say, preseason doesn't mean much. It means much for your depth pieces, guys that might get rotated in, fringe guys, your special teamers, really. And at this point, Mahomes didn't play in this game. We had Gardner Minshew starting this game. And you guys see some things like Robert Tonyan, a guy who I've mentioned on the show before, who came out, had a year off from a back injury with his time in Minnesota. He went from Chicago to Minnesota and they got hurt. And, he's come out both preseason games and dominated, not only played well during training camp, he's come out and really performed. And he's looking like he's at his level as he did in 2021, where he led the league, led tight ends in touchdowns when he was with the Packers. So he looks great. That was one big good thing that we saw. And that's one thing I like to see. He'll probably be our tight end 3 behind Kelsey and Noah Gray. So I loved what I saw from Robert Tonyan. But I'll go to the things that I didn't like, which was a lot of things I did not like. We got dominated in the run game. Seattle kind of just dominated us. I think they had 150 yards rushing midway through the second quarter. which is terrible. But I mean, and it wasn't with Kenneth Walker. It was with Charbonnet. It was Halani. It was a bunch of their guys. So that was something I didn't like to see. Again, Chris Jones didn't play. Nick Bolton didn't play. Drew Tranquil didn't play. A lot of our guys just didn't play in this game. But you've seen the rotational D lineman guys, the backups and the linebacker core. I want to see those guys perform, because if Bolton goes down, Chanel goes down, these guys are going to have to play. And for me, it's like, I don't want to see Jack Cochran playing. And I know you guys on the show would love to see Jack Cochran playing and starting for the Chiefs, if you even know who that is. But yeah, so a lot of guys just didn't play. And so that's one thing that I can say, you know what, we don't really know what we got with our defensive line. And hopefully Chris Jones plays in preseason this last game. I know Mahomes and a lot of the offensive guys will be playing in this last preseason game. So that'll be something. And then going to another thing, another repeated theme that I've talked about since we started the show, left guard. So Kingsley Suamataia started left guard, and he's the guy who's replacing Joe Tooney. Got big shoes to fill. Looked awful as far as pass blocking. Run blocking, phenomenal. Only played 10 snaps, though, so small sample size, and I keep stressing this, small sample size. You can't really judge anything yet. But this is where sometimes when I look at, PFF, they don't tell the whole picture, right? So 10 snaps, PFF did a preliminary first half grade on him. He was the highest graded offensive player at 86.8, lowest graded pass blocker with a 28.4, but then his run blocking 89.2, and he was the highest rated run blocker on our team. So again, it's just like a extreme of, whoa, good run blocker, awful pass blocking. It's only 10 snaps. So you can only take what you can get, and I hope he plays a lot more this upcoming game. And then Felix Nudike Uzama, he was our first-round pick a couple years ago. He was another guy I was hoping year 3. I thought he was going to kind of show something. He's now on the IR and will miss the entire season with a strained hamstring, which is an interesting injury to be on the IR for, a strained hamstring. So you got a lot of fans calling him a bust, officially calling him that. I mean, he's only year 3. He's only 24 years old. Still a young guy, still lots left, but it doesn't look good for him. And looks like, some Chief fans are speculating we might, throw our hands at Zadarius Smith. We've been linked to him before in the past, just bringing in a veteran edge rushers to have in there. But yeah, not a lot to like. But again, when you don't see many of your starters in this preseason game, I mean, it is what it is. So this week against the Bears, Mahomes will be playing, and a lot of guys will be playing in this one. So so I'm looking forward to this Bears game, hopefully as a bounce back to this awful showing last week from our death pieces.
Now, how much of your starters do you expect to see in the final preseason game? Because I always like to ask other teams, because I know, like, for my specific team in the past, they've always done this thing where it's, preseason game 1, we'll see a couple drives, and preseason game 2 is like, all right, we'll see for a quarter. Preseason game 3, we're not playing any damn starter. So how does that go for the Chiefs?
Yeah, so this is kind of a different year. I mean, I guess since they went to this 3-game model, it's just kind of different. Usually, obviously, game 3 is usually when the guys play the most. And it seems like Andy's kind of sticking to that, I would say, even though this is our last game. It's the last tune-up before we play the Chargers in 2 weeks. But based on what I've read, it'd probably be at least 15 to 20 plays. So you might see quarter 1 and 2 of seeing Mahomes and the fellas in the first half of this game. So, yeah, I mean, they didn't play it all last week. So I think you might see. And plus, with the linemen, because we have such a new offensive line on the left side, you're not really seeing much of these guys aren't getting reps. You need to see Kingsley get reps. You need to see Josh Simmons get reps. While Simmons has looked great in the 10 reps in both these last 2 games, it's like, okay, well, let's give him 20 reps. Let's see how he looks in that. And let's see how Kingsley looks as far as being a left guard in a more of a sample size. Give him 20 reps here, and hopefully that can be something. And then if he doesn't look good, then you have a different plan there. You go Jalen Moore, you go Mike Caliendo at left guard. But I want to see more of a sample size, and from the sounds of it, it seems like we're going to see at least a first half of most of these guys.
Man, I remember Kingsley Suamataia in the draft last year, man. That's a guy who's ambidextrous. He can play right tackle. He can play left tackle. So really hope that works out for you guys, because I thought he was a star in the making coming out of college. But James, let's go on over to you. What did you think about the Chiefs here, who got dominated by the Seahawks in week 2?
First thing I thought about, and I know the Seahawks were an AFC West team a while back, and I guess I'm going to talk a little bit more heavily about what's going on over there with the Seahawks, but they got a good defense, obviously. They got a defense, head coach that's actually from the Ravens, so you're getting that Ravens type of defense over there, which is great, heavy physical type-based defense. But I'm going to really speak more to the offense because of what they did to the Chiefs. I mean, Clint Kubiak is the OC. If you guys remember last year, remember what was happening with the Saints last season where They ended up having 2 games in a row where they just absolutely lit it up, 40 plus points each game. I think 91 points in the first 2 games, and then it just kind of failed from that point. But maybe that's kind of what we're seeing with this Seahawks team and what they did to the Chiefs. I mean, they had 69 plays, the Seahawks, that is, versus 39 plays that the Chiefs had. It's a big difference to be able to see an offense like that. And especially it's an offense, which I know Sam Darnold played just a little bit in this game, but the whole team bought into the system. And it seems like Clint Kubiak's got that offense rolling after Geno Smith not being there now too. So big thing there too. Now I was just going to point out a couple things too. I know Mark's already talked a little bit about it, but 268 yards on the ground and giving that up is ugly to see. That is a losing situation there. But I was going to point out one player that I recognized on the Chiefs is Jerry Tillery. He was a first-round pick for us, back-end first-round pick for us some years ago for the Chargers. We always had a nickname for him. It was called Speed Bump because every time that guy was on the field, he was laying on the ground and he would just hop right over the guy, and the guy was just getting dominated half the time that he was out there and just never was in the right place at the right time. And I'd have to go back and watch the footage a little bit more, but when I saw him on the defensive line, I'm like, man, they're going to get gashed up because that guy cannot be in the right place at the right time at any point in time. But bottom line, I think it's really cool to be able to see what the Seahawks did. I love seeing another beatdown of the Chiefs, and it was exciting to see.
Hey, Tiller's a rotational piece. He's not going to be leaned on like you guys leaned on him.
Keep him as a rotational piece, please. Just as a word of advice. Do not keep him out there as a starter.
Oh, James, you're helping the Chiefs, man. You're helping the Chiefs win. You should be saying, no, play him. He's great. He's a starter.
Play him week 1. Play him week 1. All you want. All you want, please.
Hey, Tiller, revenge game.
But Ryan, let's go down to you. What were your thoughts about the Kansas City Chiefs losing to the Seattle Seahawks in preseason week 2?
It kind of shows me that there's a little chink in the armor there in terms of depth pieces. As Marcus was saying, preseason, it could mean a whole lot. It could mean nothing. You really kind of won't know until the regular season comes around and look back and see if there were any signs of like what's going on with your team, whether that's good or bad. Because as for the Broncos, I don't want to talk about my team too early, but one of our strong suits now is we have great depth, and hopefully that's something that can give us that edge over the Chiefs this season. Shout out to King Jamie in the chat saying that the Broncos looking good, and maybe we'll see you guys in the playoffs, because I think it is going to be pretty tight this year. And one of the things with the Chiefs could be that depth right there. Giving up that much yardage. The Seahawks, they're a pretty average team. And so to give up that much, a lot of what the preseason shows is just how well bought in the overall team is on multiple levels. Like if you saw that Bears game, like they looked like a completely different team from the backups, like everybody. We didn't have any starters play, and we still looked like a very good team because some of those backups are still going to be playing when your starters need a rest. So I like what I'm seeing from the Chiefs for my sake.
Or the NFL's sake. I think 31 other teams league-wide feel pretty good about what they're seeing from the Chiefs so far. Marcus, do you hear that? Do you have any rebuttal? Or are you like, guys, it's literally the preseason, what we dominated last year?
Exactly that. You watched. He mentioned the Bears game. The Bears dominated the Bills and made them look like a team who's looking for the top 5 pick next year. Bills and Chiefs are the class of the AFC, whether we hate it, whether you guys like it or not. And it's week 2 of preseason, right? So like Bills fans aren't going nuts. I'm sure they are going nuts about certain aspects of what they saw, like we are, like how, I'm looking at our backup defensive tackle or, our left guard situation. There's certain aspects of your team you're looking at you don't like, and obviously no one likes their team to get dominated. But, when the same week the Bills and the Chiefs are getting dominated by the Bears and the Seahawks, I think it's like, okay, let's settle down. It's just preseason this week too.
Fair. Simone, wrap us up here with this Chiefs game. What were your thoughts?
Though, of course, it is preseason, it makes me feel a little bit better that they lost. Of course, I think the rest of us feel the same way. But, we'll take it with a grain of salt. It does make me feel better about the Seahawks defense because they proved yet again that they look like one of the better defenses in the NFL right now. And, we played them week 1, and it was kind of tough for us, especially our starters against them. So at least they showed that. Shout out to the Ospili for getting a huge safety. I always got to root for the Pollies out there. But overall, this just shows that, other than the starters, they might not have that strong of depth behind them. But, we'll see once the season comes around how they'll look, because I know at the end of the day, we could lose every single preseason game or even the Chiefs. But once the season does come around, that's when they start turning it up. But, yeah, I mean, that's all I got.
We went 0-3 last year in the preseason.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying,
Did
like,
you guys really?
we've won, we've been undefeated before. I'll say that, and it didn't look the same when the season came around. So that's how, like, I'll take the losses while we can. But
I was gonna say that same thing about the Raiders. They always go 4-0, 3-0, and the next thing you know, they
Josh
think you're going to
Josh
Super Bowl.
McDaniels' first year, man, we went undefeated, and I thought it was Super Bowl, dog. So,
Big-
and I can't really say much
McDaniels.
still. But hey,
Yeah.
right now we're losing, so maybe we do better during the season. We'll see.
Right now we're losing. That's a good sign. The only time you're going to hear Samoa would say that. But guys, let us know your thoughts on the Chiefs game losing to the Seattle Seahawks in the comment section below. Let's go ahead and let's move on to the next game. James, you guys played your third preseason game. Fortunately, you did end up losing this one just by 1 point to the Rams. Let us know what happened.
Yeah, it was basically by last second touchdown, essentially, by Stetson Bennett, who had a pretty good game all around for us. But to give more positive about this, and I think a lot of talk about the Chargers have been the running back situation. Obviously, the Najee Harris situation, we see if he's got an eye patch on his eye, kind of a weird situation going on with that. But our rookie, Amarian Hampton, had some limited snaps with this one, but looked physical, fights through tackles, and that's what he's been known for when he got drafted going into college days. He actually led the nation in yards after contact, and he showed that in this game. The one thing I'll even add on top of that is the O-line looked really good when Justin Herbert did start this game. And by the way, this is his first time that he's actually started a preseason game since he's been in the NFL, which is crazy to think about when he's in year 6 at this point. But bottom line, I think Amarian Hampton is looking really, really good. I'm excited about seeing what he could do, and he's probably going to be our starting running back week 1 versus the Chiefs in Brazil. Excited to see him grow more with this team. Now, with Herbert starting, this is basically kind of his first time being in preseason football. He asked to be in this game. He wanted to go out there and play, and a lot of the other starters wanted to do the same thing. Like I said, just get the wiggles out for this team. And I think it's a good thing too, and which seems to be a trend for a lot of teams in the NFL right now. Get their starters out there, get their legs going, and get them ready to go for the season. Now, Justin Herbert, he went 2 for 5 on the stats sheet. That doesn't look like anything major by any means. QJ basically had one throw. I should say Justin Herbert threw a ball kind of low to his feet, just kind of in the flat kind of situation, more of a screen pass, kind of a bad throw by Justin Herbert, but that's the wiggles you're trying to get out. And then he did have a deep pass to Quentin Johnston that laid him out, unfortunately, and put him in concussion protocol. I would say it's probably a little bit of a late hit on the Rams defender, which was scary to see nonetheless. But I will say on a positive note, and on our post-game live, I showed a meme where it was like, ooh, wow, Quentin Johnston got hurt. And then the next picture was this girl going, maybe we got something with these rookies, because Trey Harris and Keandre Lambert-Smith balled out. And Trey Harris had his best game with this team. And he had a 34-yard catch. He had 10-yard, 13, 3 catches on a drive that led to a touchdown. Trey Harris was connecting with Trey Lance. He obviously did really, really well throughout this entire game. And that's a great positive thing to see from one of your rookies in your second-round pick this year. Now, KLS basically got a 29-yard catch immediately from Justin Herbert, too. And then also a 37-yard catch. It was an absolute toe tapper from Trey Lance. So our depth of our wide receiver room might be a lot better than we realize, which is great. And adding Keenan Allen to that whole situation, I know Quentin Johnston's in the concussion protocol. I assume he'll be good for week 1. It's great to see that we got all these weapons out there all around. So exciting to see that. Now, defensive line-wise is something that I've been looking at a lot with this team. And it didn't look good in the first team, and that is our starters that came out there too. Rams, basically, Blake Corum ran the ball for about 9 yards. One of our players, Tito Obonia, got crushed on that play. Tier Tart was out there too. Didn't look good either too versus the run. We were getting gashed all over the place. I will say, albeit if they did have our 3rd round pick, Jamari Caldwell out there, our big guy, 340-pound tackle, that guy would have changed up that whole situation too. In that same drive, in that first drive with the starters, Naquan and Deshaun Hand were out there too, switched around, and then they got gashed for another 9 yards at that point too. So it's kind of a sucky thing to see that as your starters getting gashed in the run game. The interior D-line needs some help there too. But I think when you put in a blend with Jamari Caldwell, I think that'll change things up. I will say one thing too. We should have had about 4 turnovers. We only got 1, and we got that 1 pick from a new cornerback, I'm going to call him, T-Raw Edwards, a 6'2", 305-pound cornerback, but really defensive lineman, that got a big boy pick out there. He was rumbling and stumbling, trying to get to the goal to basically get a touchdown. He even trucked a player, too, running the ball down the field, which was awesome to watch. But we should have had more turnovers in this game. It would have made a big difference in the game. I think there was an extra juice in this game because it was a battle for LA per se at SoFi. As for the quarterback 2 race, Trey Lance solidified that position. He is our quarterback 2, no doubt about it. Taylor Heineke did have his best game in this one, did end up getting injured in this one, but he just doesn't look like he has the flow with this offense, kind of stagnant, kind of slow moving all around. So bottom line, good game. I enjoyed it. A lot of positives, but there are some negatives to it that I did point out. And just looking forward to get this preseason over with. We're going through 4 games. I feel like we're back in the past when it was a 4-game preseason. So looking forward to 4th game being over with. And let's get to week 1.
Yeah, you can certainly look at that glass half full or glass half empty too, because look, you got 4 preseason games. That's an extra opportunity to look at your players, but at the same time too, that's an extra opportunity for them to be a little bit more gassed for the upcoming season. I mean, the season as it is as a total, adding another preseason game on top of that can certainly be a lot. So hopefully in the final preseason game, maybe guys don't play a whole bunch of your starters and maybe just let those depth pieces kind of just battle it out there for a potential roster spot. But guys, make sure you continue into the rest of the show, because after we talk about the games, we're getting into a heated debate where each of these guys are going to talk about who their quarterback rankings are for the AFC West. And yeah, as you can imagine, it's going to get a little bit chippy. But Ryan, let's go down to you. What were your thoughts on this week's Chargers game, losing to the Rams by 1 point?
That hospital ball by Herbert was it wasn't an accident. He did it on purpose, like you said. He asked to play in this game, so he wanted Quentin Johnson killed. And then so now that you guys have wide receivers, you have a running back. You say your defense is good. What excuses will you have for Justin Herbert when he blows it at the end of the season again, and you guys are out in the first round? That's just what I'm wondering.
Hey, that's the same thing for Bo Nix. That's the same thing for Bo Nix.
He's had one season. He's had one season. Herbert's been here for 5 years. Herbert has been here for 5 years.
Still lost it. Nope, we're good.
He lost 1 game. Hey, he's already been in half the amount of playoff games that Herbert's been in 1 year, and Herbert's been here for 5 years.
Sure, I could see that. I will say this.
He was a rookie
will be different.
who took his team to the playoffs for the first time in over a decade. And the last time we were there, we won a Super Bowl. You don't remember your team winning a Super Bowl, do you?
No. Oh, okay. 94-95 season. Okay, we were there. We were there one time.
Hey, you see that they quarterbacks fighting for 3 and 4.
Yeah.
So,
hey, I'll say this though. 2024 season's over with. We're in 2025. You could have a whole new identity going into this year and a whole different result. So I don't even care. Whole different team at this point. I ain't even looking at the past. I don't live in the past. I live in the present, guys.
So no more excuses for him. No more. Oh, if we had the wide receivers, if we had these guys.
Well, they do the Rashawn Slater thing they can point to. They will point to.
Yeah,
Yeah. Trey Pipkins, though, he's not the best right tackle. So there is a little bit of concern there. So I agree on that side. But hey, I'm living in 2025. We're going to have a better result, way better result, in my opinion, this year with this team. Guaranteed. Book it.
All right. I mean, hey, we're on live. We're on live, so we can look back at this, guys. We can look back at this. If James was wrong at the end of the season, we might have to clip it. All right. But if he was right, we'll also have to clip it. We'll find out at the end of the season. But Sloan, let's go ahead. Let's go on over to you. What were your thoughts on that Chargers game?
Well, I guess, it's good to see that the Chargers are in midseason form, giving up a lead like usual. But, that's something that I definitely want to see in week 2. But to kind of piggyback off of Ryan's point with the quarterback situation, I really feel like, I don't know how you feel about this, but maybe Trey Lance, I don't know if there's this discussion where he could be the QB1 going into the season, because he's been looking good. And I feel like he's one of those underrated quarterbacks. He was one guy I was really high on, but to see him really do real well in the preseason, let alone with Jim Harbaugh, who I feel like is a quarterback guru. That there might be some discussion there, but overall, I think it was I guess a really back and forth game, but just to see the Rams come back and win it, I just put a smile to my face. So I guess that's about it.
Put a smile to my face, Simone. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Marcus, let's go on up to you. Wrap us up here with the Chargers game. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the number one thing that stood out to me was Stetson Bennett. His stats for the game were pretty good, but the one thing that stood out to me was his first drive, driving down there and scoring a touchdown on his first drive. I don't know how many of those guys are going to be, their main guys going to be starting during the season. Obviously, we talked about it. Everyone's got the rotational pieces in starting these games out now, so I don't know who's going to be playing, who's not going to be playing. But it was encouraging to see if Stetson Bennett can do it, then I think Mahomes can do it. I think Bo Nix can do it. I think Geno Smith can drive up the Dallas field on the Chargers this year. But again, I don't know who's starting in that game that's going to be starting week 1 during the season. Trey Harris, I was a big fan of him coming out of college, so seeing him kind of rack up stats in this game, I thought that was encouraging for them, especially with Quinn Johnson already out. And I mean, a lot of encouraging things to see there for the Chargers. But again, we'll see in a couple of weeks how that preseason hype that they've been getting, the offseason Super Bowl champs, as we like to call them in Chiefs Kingdom. See how they look during the season starts.
Well, Chargers fans, let us know your thoughts about the game in the comment section below. Let's go ahead and move on to this next game. And Ryan, I want to transition here to the Broncos. You guys won pretty confidently against the Arizona Cardinals, 27-7. What led to that dominant win?
As I said, a little bit earlier, depth. We've got a lot of depth on this team. We got a lot of depth at wide receiver. We're going to probably have to cut some guys that we probably won't want to cut. Both offensively, defensively, and most likely the Chiefs will pick one of those guys up because for some reason you guys seem to always pick up some guys that we like to cut. But good coaches recognize good players. Andy Reid's a good coach. But yeah, so Jared Stidham, he had a great game. He was 16 for 23, 240 yards, 2 TDs. Troy Franklin really came out of his shell in this game. He already had a good game last week, but this week he had about 4 catches, I think 2 touchdowns as well. I think around 70 yards or so. So he was great. Pat Bryant just absolutely snagging balls everywhere. It easily looks like Courtland Sutton's replacement. Honestly, I'd put him there right now. Get Courtland Sutton out, rip up his contract. And then I'm excited about Pat Bryant. And we saw RJ Harvey. So there were some like starters that played. More of the young guys or guys that haven't been with the team as long. Like Sutton didn't play, Bo Nix didn't play, entire O-line didn't play. Harvey did play. He had a great touchdown run, showed great patience. Whereas last week, he kind of bounced it outside. He ran it right down the hole, touchdown. And we also saw Evan Ingram on the first drive. We didn't even know he was playing. All of a sudden I saw number 1 catch the ball. I'm like, who the hell is this? And I was like, it's Evan Ingram, 58-yard catch and run. Obviously it was on the Arizona backups, but still people had some questions hey, he's old. Does he still have that speed? He definitely still has that speed. Pat Bryant and Troy Franklin gave great blocks on that play as well. Which is what you need from your wide receivers. You need them to block. And then the defense, of course, we've just got a ton of depth there. Jonah Ellis, I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he is an absolute monster. So we've got Nick Bonito, Jonathan Cooper, Jonah Ellis. We got a ton of guys on that for the pass rushers group. And then Sam Ellinger, he had a solid game as well in the second half. He was 14 of 16, 162 yards, no turnovers. So just a solid overall game from us. Everything just looked like a well-oiled machine. And this is what Sean Payton does. And he's just been putting out a good product. And we just hope that this transfers over to the regular season, and then we'll get a glimpse of the starters next week as well for their last game before the real deal.
All righty, let's go. Let's transition over on to you, Simone. What were your thoughts about the Denver Broncos this week?
As much as it pains me to say, I think that they had a nearly flawless game offensively, defensively. I mean, they've been balling so far in preseason. And I will give some credit to Jared Stidham. I actually got a Jared Stidham jersey, so, X-rated right there. But I will say, we've been in those shoes before where we looked dominant in preseason, and then when the season came around, it just wasn't the same story. So I guess that's something I'm hoping for, just seeing all the hype right now while it's high. And then when the season comes around, we see a different Broncos team. But yeah, I don't want to give him too much credit.
That is crazy that you have a Jared Stidham jersey. That's
I was
just
about to say the backup.
Hey, bro, I was a big Jared Stidham fan too, dog.
You got the backup quarterback's jersey?
I thought it was a Carson Palmer jersey. Wasn't he number 3?
Yeah.
It could be a Palmer jersey too, dog.
Daryl LaMonica.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A Jared Stidham jersey is crazy. You know
shout
what?
out Jared Stiddy, dog.
You should post it. You should post it and tag him, because I'm sure you're like one of the only people outside of his family that actually has a jersey of him. You should hit him up. I'm sure he'll reply, be like, dude, send it to me. I'll sign it for you. There you go. But Marcus, let's call it up to you. What were your thoughts about the Denver Broncos this week?
Yeah, the big things that stood out to me is kind of what Ryan already mentioned. Evan Ingram, which for me as a Chief fan, I was hoping we were going to bring him in this offseason when there was kind of, that we didn't know what was going to happen with Kelsey. It's like, okay, well, maybe bring him in for a 1-year deal. And you can maybe take over the reins after Kelsey retires. We didn't do that, obviously. But as a Chiefs fan, anyone who watches this, for the last 2 years, you've had a hard time covering tight ends and running backs. So the Broncos actually having a tight end or the Joker, they call him, that we have to keep an eye on. And Evan Ingram, it's kind of scary. So that's one thing I did take notice of. So Evan Ingram is a guy that I'll be looking at in my fantasy drafts, as well as when we play the Broncos 2 times a year. And then Pat Bryant, which right after the draft, I remember Sean Payton comparing Pat Bryant to Michael Thomas, and we're starting to see a little bit of that. You're starting to see the implementation of Pat Bryant, and that's someone you're going to have to pay attention to. So yeah, I mean, Broncos they got some tools, man. They got some tools, and interesting to see how this all plays out.
Wow, you guys are giving a lot of respect to each other. I cannot wait till the second half of today's stream where you got like Ryan putting Bo Nix over Patrick Mahomes, and then you guys are jumping down each other's throats, man. Well, you guys are nice now. Until someone disrespects your favorite player. But James, let's go over to you. Wrap us up here with this Broncos game. What are your thoughts?
I was thinking a lot about just Vance Joseph being the defensive coordinator. I was kind of thinking back a little bit when he was a head coach. And if you watched a broadcast, and I believe it was one of the earlier games in the week when in the year that Vance Joseph was a head coach, and there was an ESPN sideline.
I do it.
Yep.
I do it.
Dude, that was one of the funniest things ever. So right now, Vance Joseph as a defensive coordinator is having the time of his life right now. And he is actually really finding a great defense with this team. And I think it's very fun to watch. But I will say this division is going to have currently about 3 different teams that have great defenses. And defenses are going to really make a big difference in this. And I'm not putting the Raiders in the great defense yet, because there's still a lot of pieces that they got to deal with behind their defensive line.
I respect
But
it.
Bottom line right now, this is a fun division for defense, and I think it could be very good for offense all around. And with the Broncos, offensively, I'm kind of interested to see what their RB3 situation will be, because Jaleel McLaughlin, he actually showed up. He's like, hey, guys, I'm still here on this team. 3 carries for 48 yards. Did a pretty good job on that. But is Audric Estime going to be a part of it? Is Tyler Batty going to still be a part of this team? And then the wide receivers, it's got a young wide receiver group outside of Sutton, too. Very similarly to what the Chargers have outside of Keenan Allen being on the team in the wide receiver group. It's a lot of youth within this division. That's going to be very interesting. And now, will they show up? Will the picks turn out? We'll see what happens here. But bottom line, Broncos did a great job. Beat up. I live in Arizona. Hey, Cardinals, I don't think are going to be that good of a team, and period. I have not had trust in them for a very long period of time. But a good game for them, but this is going to be a big defensive division.
James, I just want to say I give you credit for knowing all those running backs, because if I was a fan of another team, I would have known all those guys. And it looks like it's going to be Tyler Bidet as number 3. It looks like Audric is going to get cut. Jaleel did look solid. The thing with him is that he's so small and he's terrible in pass pro. When he's out there, he's getting the rock. And he can't break tackles. Tyler Bidet, he was out the entire year with a back injury, right when he was getting his he started become running back 1, and then which was I think week 2 or 3 of the season, and then they brought him off IR for the Bills playoff game, even though he didn't play the entire season. So that just shows how much Sean Payton respects his game. and thinks of him as well, as opposed to Audric Estime, who was active the entire season and got benched for that playoff game. So it looks like it's going to be Bidet. I like Bidet. I think he should be running back 3. Jaleel and Audric, they're probably, I mean, one of them's going to be on the practice squad if they clear waivers. Another one's just going to get cut outright.
Hey, fantasy football makes you dig through those running back groups, and you got to find all those guys. But I was a big fan of Audric Estime when he came out. I thought he was a really good back, but he was a very slow back, and that's what I felt like was going to be his issue.
He's very slow, and Philip Lindsay actually touched on this because he's had a fumbling issue. And Philip, he never fumbled, and he was saying because with slower running backs, and especially Audric, he's got those bigger arms, those like Melvin Gordon type of arms, and Melvin Gordon fumbling machine.
Hey, I know that.
Yeah. So those slower guys, it's easier for the defensive players to punch the ball out. Whereas the quicker guys, they're just focused on tackling their legs since they're moving so quickly.
Just to say a point about Melvin Gordon, my goodness, he won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs.
Oh my god!
Oh my gosh! Come on now, hey, he didn't deserve it. He didn't even have one run with you guys. Come on now.
I'll bond with you on that. Like that made me question if arm's a thing.
Ridiculous.
Well, Broncos fans on practice squad. He wasn't even on the active roster.
Right.
Hey, I think he got a ring though.
Still got a ring.
Yeah, everyone in the org gets one. Yeah.
He was in the locker room posting videos.
Yeah.
He was in the locker room posting videos and all this stuff. So
let him celebrate. You know, he went through some hard times. You know.
He was the hard times. He was the hard times.
Like I got a ring now.
Dude, if you're a practice squad player getting a ring, all you have to do is, show up to practice a couple times a week and you get a ring that you're just going to sell past your NFL career for a few $100,000 and call it a day anyway. But Broncos fans, let us know your thoughts on that game in the comment section below. Let's go ahead and let's transition into our final game before we start breaking down these quarterbacks. Samoan, let us know everything that happened for the Raiders, who, like you alluded to earlier, have not won a game so far this preseason. This time you fall short to the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, man, this one does sting only because of bragging rights between the Raiders and Niner fans. But even though we lost and took that L this past weekend, I'm not entirely too mad about it. What I wanted to see going into this game was seeing the first team unit look a lot better than we did in Seattle, and they did. Geno Smith looked really comfortable in the pocket, and that's the Geno Smith that we've been wanting to see. He was hitting his targets. He missed Dante Thornton down the field for a big play, but at the end of the day, that the offense was moving and grooving. And of course, Ashton Jensen, he was getting criticized left and right last week for having 3 carries for -1 yards. And this week he really showed out, had a huge play. I think he made Lenore touch earth one time. But he got into the end zone. That's something that we want to see, even though it was only 33 yards. It's some positive news, and then we could kind of skew away from the bus talk with him. But, offensively, I think we look really good. The first team defense looked really solid as well. Max Crosby proven yet again why he gets paid the big bucks. Outside of that, we did get another turnover. Shout out to the secondary. So I say that our first team defense, it looked much better this week around. And I know that we don't amount to the same guys in the AFC West where we're not like the top defense or one of those defenses that scare a lot of other teams. But I feel like the first team unit looked pretty good. Now the second team and the backups, the depth didn't really look too good. Aiden O'Connell is one guy. I just don't understand why he's still on the roster by now. And I feel like he might not be on the roster once the season does come around because he just doesn't look good when he comes in, and he kind of kills any kind of momentum that we have. Threw a pick in this game, was in there majority of the game. We got to see Cam Miller later on, and we had a chance to win this game, or even tie it. I thought we were going to get another tie, ironically, but he threw an interception late and had the Niners come back and just basically kick the game-winning field goal. And I just had to hear nothing but Niner fans, yapping at the end of the game, which was kind of frustrating. But outside of all of that, I think there's some positive. There's a lot of positivity to take out of this game. And going into this last game, I'm really intrigued on seeing what Pete Carroll is going to do, whether we do play some of our starters or not. But like I said earlier, it is just preseason. I'm not really going to lose sleep over these losses or even these ties until the week 1 comes around, and then we'll see if we're really about it or not.
Marcus, let's go on up to you. What were your thoughts about what happened here with the Raiders? And really, what are your thoughts about the Raiders so far, a team that is brand new, hasn't won a preseason game so far?
Yeah, the one thing that kind of stood out to me this week, obviously Jetty finally, you look good, right? Only 2 games in, you really get much of a sample size the first time around with him. You look good, and a lot of people saw it, people calling him a bust already. It's just stupid talk. But the one thing I will say, physical runner, but you're not in the Mountain West anymore, and we have Isaiah Pacheco on our team, who's not the same as Jetty at all. I'm not comparing him, but also a physical runner. And what's one thing about him is he can't stay healthy throughout an entire season because he's just such a physical dude. Now, I don't know if that'll happen with Jetty, but that's one thing I'm curious to see. His running style, how many games he's going to give you. So that's one thing I'm just going to be paying attention to. See how much they split up his carry count with their other backs they have. I believe they have Raheem Mostert on their squad. So just curious to see how they split him up. But the one thing I'll say about the Raiders, man, and I know it might seem like I'm praising the Raiders here, but I love what you guys did this offseason, and it reminds me of the 2013 Chiefs. So we go from the Romeo Crennel Chiefs era to Andy Reid. He comes in. Andy Reid brings in Alex Smith. First thing he does. Pete Carroll comes to Vegas, brings in Geno Smith. First thing he does. Geno Smith, Alex Smith, both guys who are solid quarterbacks, may not get you over the hump, may not get you a Super Bowl, but they're good veteran quarterbacks who will get you wins. Also, too, the Chiefs had Jamal Charles. You guys draft Jetty. The Raiders had Bowers. The Chiefs draft Travis Kelce in that 2013 year. So, there's a lot of parallels there. And it's bringing a different identity. It's bringing a winning culture there with Pete Carroll. And so you may not have wins in preseason, like we talked about, how these meaningless games, but you're bringing a new identity there. And I think there's a lot of things for the Raiders to be excited about this year, because I do see a lot of the parallels to the Chiefs in 2013. We were a 2-14 team in 2012. We come off, have Andy Reid and Alex Smith, turn our fortune around, win the West that year, I believe, or we were a wild card team. No, we were a wild card team. Broncos won it that year. So congrats to Denver that year. But yeah, so I do see you guys turning it around with the new identity you guys have there, because it does remind me so much of that 2013 Chiefs team.
Come on, Marcus.
Wow.
That's what I like to hear, man. There we go.
A lot of respect, man. I don't think I've ever seen a Chiefs fan and a Raiders fan virtually hug. Virtually hug, man. That's what that was, a virtual hug, man. So, yeah, never seen that before. Appreciate it while you can, because give these guys, a couple more weeks till week 1. They're not going to be so nice anymore. But, James, let's go on over to you. What were your thoughts on that Raiders game?
Simone Raider basically said that was the Battle of the Mandalay Bay. And I always remembered it as the Battle of just the Bay, the Bay Area. And so it threw me off. I know they're in Vegas now. I get it. But I always kind of just remember it as the Battle of the Bay in the Bay Area and everything too. But it tripped me out seeing that. But there's always bad blood between those teams, and I love watching that game for that reason. I grew up in the Bay Area, so I watched a pretty fair amount of Niners games while they were winning multiple Super Bowls, and even destroyed my Chargers in the Super Bowl. So, but bottom line, will the Raiders win a game? I know it's preseason. I get it. 1 tie, 1 loss. I get it. But will they win a game? Is there positive views of it? I know Simone Raider even talked a little bit about how, hey, maybe we lose games in the preseason so we can win games in the season. We've gone 3-0 in the preseason, and we end up losing in the season. We'll see where it goes from there. But where are your targets outside of Brock Bowers? I know you got Jacoby Myers, you got Dante Thornton, Jack Bech, Trey Tucker. Are you going to go a lot more 2 tight end sets now with Michael Myers? Because I know he had a catch also in this game, and he actually looked pretty good too. So we'll see where it kind of goes with you guys on that. It is also a team that is actually pretty young, adding a ton of draft picks all around. Obviously, got to try to create a whole new culture with Pete Carroll. So that's kind of where my thoughts were, is just where are these targets? Where are they going to go from? And also, Pete Carroll doesn't do a whole heck of a lot with tight ends, and he's probably going to be forced a lot right now to be able to do a lot with Brock Bowers as a tight end, probably wide receiver 1, tight end 1 for this team.
Yeah. Now, I will say that Jacoby Myers definitely is the wide receiver 1. And other than that, we got a lot of young players. Dante is a name that's been sticking out in camp, but I know we haven't really seen it yet in the game. So I guess the question is just all up there, because we do have Trey Tucker, Jack Bech, Dante Thornton as wide receivers that could be a weapon, but it just hasn't been seen yet in game. So, yeah.
Yeah, James, that was a really good point too. I've wondered the same thing about the Raiders. Is your receiver group going to be enough with the competition level that you're going to face this upcoming season, right? Because, look, you got Brock Bowers, who is an absolute threat. Jacoby Myers, he kind of played as wide receiver 1 in New England, and he can be okay, but his real threat, when he becomes his top-notch, level of play, that's when he's playing more as that wide receiver 2. So certainly some questions there still about the Raiders, but something we're only going to find out when the regular season comes along. But Ryan, let's transition on over to you. Wrap us up here with this Raiders game. What are your takeaways about this team so far?
A little concerned for Broncos fans' sake about Ashton Genty, just because last year was so enjoyable, when you guys didn't have a running back, because every time we saw Josh Jacobs, he looked like prime Walter Payton. He was a good running back, but Simone Raider, I think you would even know, like, this dude would just kick another gear into notch.
Yeah.
When we played him, we couldn't tackle him. I don't know what happened. So Genty looks solid, hard to take down. But this isn't really about the game that I'm about to touch on. You guys call yourself Raider Nation, but that stadium was full of Niners fans.
Damn,
like, man, where the hell is where are all the Raider fans?
Hey, they chilling, man, because it's preseason, But that was a big thing too with a lot of Raider fans. Like, man, why so many Where's the Raider fans? I was like, shit, I don't know. They at home, but I will give credit to the Niners. The Niners and the Chiefs, they definitely they show up. Even the Broncos sometimes. I don't know. It's the Raider fans.
You can't escape that either, because your games are full of Niner fans as well when you guys play them.
Well, the Niners fans travel extremely well, but I will say Chargers traveled extremely well last year to Las Vegas and took over that stadium. From what I was told, it was filled with Chargers fans. And I know there's a lot of Chargers fans out there in Vegas too, man. So it's kind of cool to see.
I'll give them that. I think they did. I think it was the later game, because I think at that time of the season, I think us Raider fans kind of gave up on the team. So nobody really wanted to show up though. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there was that many fans that time last year, because I don't think I went though. But I know when it comes to LA though, man, we show up, but we just don't show up on the field. But that's another story for another day.
We show up, but we don't show up on the field. Well, guys, we still have one more segment to get into for today's episode. But before we do that, want to let you guys know about something cool that Roundtable Sports is doing all year long, okay? Something we haven't done before, but we're really excited to implement, and that is our call-in segment. If you guys want to call in to this show, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, your voice comes on, you can ask a question, you can make a statement, anything, and we have to listen, we have to answer your question. All these hosts get an opportunity to listen, answer, or react to whatever you have to say on any given show. Link in the description box below to become a Patreon member. That's how you get the link. And the cool thing is that it's not just the AFC West Roundtable. You can call into any show on Roundtable Sports. That's including the college football show every single week. That includes Fourth and Forever every single week. That includes the AFC East Roundtable, the NFC West Roundtable, you name it, because Roundtable Sports has a roundtable for every single division, just like we're doing here for the AFC West Roundtable. On top of that, you guys get other benefits, so make sure you check it out to become a Patreon member, because we love to hear from you guys to come on into the show. And you know what? You don't even have to ask a question. You can bring some heat, okay? If you think that Marcus is, up in his Chiefs a little bit too much, you're like, yo, Marcus, we got to bring you down a little bit of a notch. Come on here, 30, 60 seconds, and Marcus unfortunately has to listen to you, man. So this is the time and place to do it. But fellas, let's go ahead and let's transition to the final segment of today's episode, and that is ranking your rankings of the quarterbacks here into the AFC West. And Marcus, I want to start with you. Who are your quarterbacks from 1 to 4 in the AFC West?
So the real battle for me on this one is, it depends more contextually what you're if you're trying to build your team out, right? So 1, Mahomes, easily. I don't think there's going to be much argument there. If there is any argument there, Mahomes is 6-0 at LA, 6-1 at Denver, and 12-0 at the Raiders or Vegas or Oakland. So, I mean, that's only one loss he plays at these opposing teams. So, and 35-5 overall in the AFC West. So I don't think there's any argument there. Number 2, Justin Herbert. I know we were dogging his playoff success or lack of, but arm talent. If I didn't have Patrick Mahomes, who would I want as my quarterback? I want Justin Herbert. That's pretty much, that's it.
Thank you.
That 3 and 4 is, I got you, buddy. 3 and 4 is where things get interesting here, right? So we only know there's 1 year of sample size of Bo Nix. If I was starting a team today, I'd want Bo Nix. Now, if I'm a team that's trying to win something, or trying to get the best out of my team and get some wins, I want Geno Smith as my quarterback. If two different things, right? Starting a franchise, I want the young buck. I want the young gun. I want the young gunslinger. But if I'm trying to win, I got to go Geno Smith. So depending on what your list is, but overall, I would say, Geno is a little old in the tooth there. I would say Bo Nix is my number 3, Geno Smith number 4, but it just depends. If I was trying to win, I'd probably go Geno Smith. But if I was, starting a franchise, I'd want Bo Nix. So I'll go Bo Nix at 3 and Geno Smith at 4, but very close to that 3 and 4 spot. You guys are so close, Raiders and Broncos.
Oh, all right, Marcus. Pretty good list. It goes in order. It goes Mahomes, and it goes Herbert, and it goes right down the list. All right, James, let's go on over to you. What are your rankings? Are they similar to Marcus's?
Pretty similar. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes, you know what he's done. It's pretty self-explanatory there, what he's been able to do. He's been in a system for so long now, 9 years, almost 10 years, I think, close to that with Andy Reid. He's done plenty in his career to know that he's one of the greatest of all time, at least at this moment in the NFL, and phenomenal way to start out his career, obviously, for first 10 years of his career, dang near. But number 2, it's not just because I'm a Charger fan, but Justin Herbert. The guy is an absolute stud, to Marcus's point. Great arm strength. He has the ability to scramble. He has the ability to make the throws when necessary. He can do it even with less talent at wide receiver too. Go back to his 2020 year. There was a couple wide receivers on that team that were Guyton to, whatnot. We were able to bomb the ball 70 yards down the field with guys that are not even on teams anymore with this guy. Obviously, it was his rookie season. He had a whole phenomenal season that year and won Rookie of the Year. But interesting thing enough, in one of our last broadcasts for the Chargers, they talked about his first 5 seasons passing all time. 1,945 completions, first in the league. 21,093 yards, first in the league. 137 touchdowns, 6th in the league. That's pretty phenomenal for a guy that basically got thrusted in there shortly after, the quarterback during the Chiefs actually got a jab on the side into his lung and ended up having to just come into that game and played extremely well and took that job for that point on. Now, to Marcus's point, the 3 and the 4 position is a weird one, man. You just kind of don't know. And to Marcus's point, I'm going to point it out too. Same thing. Bo Nix. We only had really 1 season with him so far, and we don't really know 100% of who he is. Because if you look at the tail of the first half of his first season in the NFL, it wasn't the best. It was a lot of figuring things out. He didn't beat a lot of the good teams throughout the entire year too, on top of that. And second half looked good. He got him to the playoffs. There was a lot of slow momentum starting that season, but once he finally got his legs, he started looking good. Now, Geno Smith, I think his career got revitalized when he got punched in the jaw with the Jets, and he got sat out for a while. He was able to sit behind good quarterbacks, figure out the game a little bit better, and then he's had a really good career with the Seahawks, and maybe his Pete Carroll just revitalized his career at this point. But I'm going to put, with all that being said, Geno Smith 3, Bo Nix 4.
Okay.
Ooh, Bo Nix 4. All right. Drop the mic, James. Drop the mic. You did switch it up a little bit from Marcus. And boy, oh boy, do we see Ryan trying to hold back a little bit. He did as best as he possibly could to not click off of the show. So, Ryan, we're going to give you the floor. Who are your top quarterbacks in the AFC West?
So, obviously, Mahomes 1. And then I actually think 2 and 3 between Herbert and Bo is closer than 3 and 4. Geno's been in the league for so long, and he's shown us what he can do. He can win you games, but he's not going to get you really to the playoffs. He's not going to get you that much success. He'll help give your team a good launching pad for the season, get you guys some wins, which is what he basically did with the Seahawks. He kept them afloat for a couple of years, and then they're like, hey, we're done. We need to bring someone else to elevate this team because you just can't get it done. And then he's basically in that spot again with the Raiders. Hey, this team is a mess. We need someone that can just give us some consistency. We're probably going to get a quarterback in a few years. We're just looking for a guy that's going to get us some wins, that knows how to play the position well, not really make too many mistakes and do all of that. So, but Bo, he's only had 1 year. That is the truth. So, but what it comes down to, I believe, in the NFL, it's like Herbert, he's had great stats. He's had great seasons, but what has he won? Mahomes, he didn't have a great season last year. I think Bo had more touchdowns than him. Yet, Mahomes is in Super Bowl. You want to know why? Because he knows how to win. So if I'm, for my team, picking a guy that knows how to win, maybe you're not having a good game, but can you still, make the check down, make the right decisions? I'm going to take Bo. Because Herbert, like in that Jaguars game from a couple of years ago, and I know, the defense, they gave up points. Okay, well, then what's the excuse for the offense putting up, 28 points in the first half, and then putting up only a field goal? It can't just go all on the defense. It was on the offense as well. And then last year, throws 4, how many picks was it? 3 picks in the playoff game? I believe,
wasn't
4?
pretty. It was more than in the entire season. I get it.
Exactly. So, I think obviously there's a point to be made about, Bo didn't beat, some of the great teams last year, like the Bills, the playoff game. Things went south after the second half. We got pounded by the Ravens pretty well. We did almost beat the Chiefs. If it wasn't for that field goal, Bo Nix, everyone would have a completely different perspective of Bo Nix. If that game didn't end in a blocked field goal, because he drove down the field on the Chiefs, on their mighty defense, for a game-winning field goal. He drove down there. I think there was a big third down play. He rolled out of the pocket, sniped it to Sutton, and then we are in position to win. Everybody would be thinking of Bo Nix completely differently if he gave the Chiefs one of their only losses at the time, their only loss of the season, in Arrowhead for his first time. So I'm going to take Bo at 2, just because I think he's just got a lot more dog in him. And I think he's going to be able to do a lot more. Arm talent. You know who had arm talent? Paxton Lynch. And he didn't do shit. There's so many guys that have had arm talent and haven't done shit. Phillip Rivers has had arm talent. And he didn't do a thing. Arm talent doesn't amount to anything if you don't win games.
Wait, so you would take Bo Nix over Phillip Rivers? If, let's say Phillip Rivers is in his prime right now, you would take Bo Nix over Phillip Rivers?
I take Bo.
Wow.
Bo can move around better.
He's betting. Wow. He's betting. Even with all the articles talking about that Bo Nix will be off the team by 2027, and Peyton will be gone too. Even the talk. I mean, I got a buddy that's a Broncos fan. He's like, I'm pumping the brakes on Bo Nix. You're pretty high on him, Ryan.
You listen.
Gotta respect.
There's intangibles with QBs. There's intangibles with QBs, how they carry themselves off the field as well. And there's nothing that Herbert does necessarily. I would say Shador is probably one of those guys that you look at and you're like, ooh, I don't know how you carry yourself off the field. It's that calmness that they bring to the pocket as well, and just almost that Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, just dogging them. They just have that dog in them. We never saw that with Drew Lock. We never saw that with Teddy Bridgewater. I don't really see that with Herbert when he steps on the field. I'm not really too scared of what he's about to do in terms of those situations. Mahomes, oh my gosh, you always know, you're terrified of him.
But I will say, go ahead, Marcus.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Do remember the second half of the Broncos-Chargers game. Remember that half. Second game, that was a beautiful, beautiful thing by Justin Herbert to bring that one back. That's a thing.
Listen,
go back to the Raider game.
And guess what? Go ahead.
I was going to say Raider game 2021, the one that was the playoff game. Basically, we end up tying. Dude, I will still say that was one of the best games I've ever seen, even though it was a losing situation for the Chargers.
I didn't know how he was getting that shit done
that
too.
were incredible. Man. Yeah, that was an incredible game. And we call Justin Herbert Risbert now because he's off field making plays right now with Madison Beer potentially being his girlfriend.
Crazy. That's my MVP right there.
Oh, he's playing on the field and off the field. Let's go.
But here's the thing. You remember you mentioned that game last year in the second half, but you remember before that game, what was the conversation? A fourth year, Justin Herbert, the conversation that surrounded him, and he's in his fourth year, is can he uplift his team? 4 years into the league, and you're still having that conversation. He had one game where we didn't have Riley Moss. He was injured. We had Chris Abrams-Drain in there, who wasn't a bad guy. And I'm not going to give excuses in there, but he actually threw a pick to Chris Abrams-Drain in the end zone. But you see how Herbert's leash has just been, it's so long Like everyone expects, like they've expected so much, and he's given nothing besides some stats in terms of wins. He's given nothing. It doesn't mean anything. You end up at that, like, okay, he might make it into the Hall of Fame, but guess what? You guys aren't going to have won a Super Bowl if it goes the same way Rivers did.
I'm going to say he's got way better coaching with Harbaugh. Harbaugh is going to bring a lot more to this team. And you've already seen after year one.
I agree.
Less talent. Year one with under Harbaugh got us 11-6 at least to the playoffs. And that was beyond what anybody thought with this team.
And I will say, when you guys hired Harbaugh, because I was like, oh, whoever they hire, nothing's going to change. But if there was one guy, it would be Harbaugh. Agreed. So that is the one thing I will give you with when it comes to Herbert. You know, Harbaugh may be molding him a little bit better than previous coaches have.
Trey Lance is a perfect example. Quarterback whisperer, man.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy as well. You said Trey Lance might be a starter. That's crazy as well.
Yeah, they happen.
You never know, dog. They didn't.
You take him. You take him, man.
You want Trey Lance? We'll trade you first round.
I will gladly
give you Aiden O'Connell for Trey Lance, dog. Come on.
I will gladly play Trey Lance 2 times a year.
Yeah, this would be a different ranking if Trey Lance was
that guy's
in
been like 3 organizations at this point. But Sabawid, you just heard Ryan kind of switch up the rankings here versus what we heard from Marcus and what we heard from James.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? What are your rankings here of the quarterbacks in the AFC West?
Yeah, well, I'm looking at this as like going into this season. If it was like starting a dynasty, I think it'd be a whole different thing. But of course, Patrick Mahomes, number one. I'm not gonna talk about him too much because we already know. But from there is where I guess I'm not trying to be biased, but I put Geno on there only for the mere fact that
Geno
at 2 because he's getting paired up with Pete Carroll yet again. We've got the weapons here for him to go out there as long as we keep him upright. I feel like he can do some things out there. I know we didn't see too much, but I put him at 2. Call me biased if you want. I'll take it. But I think after that, then that's where the conversation starts. So I'm not really. I don't know. I agree with Ryan on some things with Justin Herbert because I feel like Justin Herbert coming into the league, he really looked like the next guy. And then as the years continue to go on, he kind of reminded me so much of Derek Carr. He looks good. He has some great games, some comeback wins, has all the stats, does everything. But when it matters most, he doesn't come through. Now, we'll see if that happens this year, but it's yet to be seen. So that's where I put Justin Herbert at number 3. Only because he has more years on Bo Nix. And Bo Nix is actually a guy that was really high coming into the league. And everybody thought he was going to be shitty. But I give him last year. It was only 1 year. We'll see how he does this year. But I just had to put Bo Nix there at number 4 just for now. Like I said earlier, if we were talking Trey Lance, then maybe I'll put him at number 2. But for right now, I got Justin Herbert at number 3.
Wow. So we got Bo Nix at number 4, Geno at 3, and Ryan, you had Bo at 2. All right. So
listen, I don't expect Raiders fans to know how to evaluate QBs. So they kept Derek Carr.
We'll get it right one time, dog. I felt the same way with Jimmy G when he came, dog. So I had a lot of hope for him. So we'll see.
You bought
a Stidham jersey.
Yeah,
my man. Like, come on.
Hey, this is on sale. Come on now. And
turn around. I want to see the proof. Is this a Stidham jersey?
I got you. Look at.
Bro,
get the drug. Get the drug dogs.
Come on now.
Did you think that Stidham was like the next quarterback? Did you think like he was like, oh yeah, Stidham's gonna be our franchise quarterback?
No, but I thought he did real good. I think that first year he was here with us. But, they had it on sale, so I thought I'd buy it.
You sound like Pats fans in 2020 when Brady left. Like, it's all right. We got Jared Stidham. He's the future. But, hey, look, guys, that is going to wrap it up.
We've been looking for quarterback. That's why I'm high on Geno Smith this year because it seems a little bit different this year.
The best quarterback you've had in maybe a little bit of time. So, hey, I understand the hype. So, but guys, look, that's going to... It's all right. It's all right, guys. Going to end it off for today's video here of the AFC West, man. Great breakdown of preseason week 2, preseason week 2, preseason week 3 for you, James. So we got one more preseason game. We're going to wrap all that up here next week, along with the quarterback debates. Let us know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Make sure you guys also check out Roundtable Sports' main YouTube channel for more NFL and football-related content. Again, you have Fourth and Forever breaking down NFL news for every single team, Monday through Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. And then you also have the college football show going live Mondays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you guys subscribe to the AFC West Roundtable on your way out. Leave a big like on the video if you guys like today's show and want to see more for the entire 2025 season. But until next time, my name is Colby Cochran, host here of the AFC West Roundtable. We appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.